In this video, I will be going over how Beequip stats work. I will not be going over every individual Beequip because that would just take forever, and instead I'm going to be showing you guys how to look at them yourselves. The way that stats get determined on Beequips are a bit complex, but I'll do my best to break it down into simple terms. I'm going to be going over a Google spreadsheet that lists every detail and percentage of every Beequip in the game. It was created by these guys right here, so go check them out. The sheet that they made is amazing. I'll also link the wiki and the spreadsheet link down below in the description because that's where I got most of the info in this guide. Before moving to the spreadsheet and stats, I want to explain the basics of Beequip, so if you're already super familiar with Beequip's potential and waxing, you can probably skip this part. To cover the basics, if you don't already know, Beequips are items that can be obtained in many different ways, and you can add them to certain bees to either give them bee buffs or hive bonuses. The bee buffs, like on the poinsettia here, are green, and the hive bonuses that they give are yellow. The Beequips that you can't hold in your case will go into your Beequip storage, which can hold up to 15 Beequips until you upgrade it. The max amount of Beequips that this storage can hold is 100, but it costs a lot of tickets. For the most part, the stats that you should be more interested are the hive bonuses, as that will infect your entire hive as if it were an amulet. Some stats can only get on a Beequip from waxing, which plays a very big role in getting good Beequips. Beequip potential plays another factor into determining stats, and all it does is increase the chance for better stats from waxing. Potential is the number of stars on a Beequip, ranging from 0 to 5. It's actually measured in points that can go up to 10 because there can be half stars, so if a Beequip has 3.5 stars, it would have a 7 potential. To give you an example, on this paperclip, there are 3 stars up here, which means it's a 6 potential Beequip. All that does is increase the chance that I get better stats when I wax this particular Beequip. As I mentioned earlier, waxing is very important when it comes to Beequips, and I'm going to quickly cover the basics of waxing before moving on to the more complicated numbers and chances that play into Beequip stats. There are 4 different kinds of wax: hard, soft, swirled, and caustic. Each wax upgrade Beequips differently. Soft wax has a 100% chance of working on a Beequip and upgrading a single stat. Hard wax has a 60% chance of working and a 40% chance of failing, and if it does succeed, it rolls 2 upgrades. Then there's the caustic wax, which has only a 25% chance of working and a 75% chance of completely destroying the Beequip altogether, which can be dangerous if you have a really rare Beequip. However, it upgrades it 4 times, so caustic wax is extremely good. The last wax is the swirled wax, which doesn't actually upgrade the Beequip, but rather changes the upgrades from all the other waxes that are already on the Beequip, and re-rolls the base stats. That pretty much covers all the basics, so now I'm going to move on to a little bit more of the complicated things. As I mentioned earlier, each wax has a certain upgrade value, which is how many times the Beequip is upgraded. Soft wax has a value of 1, hard wax 2, and caustic 4. Swirled wax has an upgrade value of 0 because it doesn't actually upgrade the Beequip. These upgrade values give 1 stat on the Beequip you are waxing an upgrade. A hard wax upgrade is like 2 soft wax upgrades, and a caustic wax upgrade is like 4 soft wax upgrades. Now, I'm going to move over to the spreadsheet and start explaining the more hidden and complicated things that affect how Beequip stats are rolled. First things first, I'm going to cover the very important notes. So, some information may change in the near future. There are a few stats that consist of values we're unfamiliar with. All the intel gathered here has been extracted from the game source code and is as accurate as possible. And since every Beequip has its own set of abilities, chances, and hive bonuses, we have decided to list each Beequip info in a separate spreadsheet which you can easily browse down below. And then number 6 down here, it mentions scaling power, which we'll come back to and I'll explain what that means. But for now, I'm just gonna go to a Beequip and start explaining. I'm going to be using the candy ring as my first example. On the very left, it lists each stat that can be applied to this Beequip. On the top bar up here, it shows what each number and percentage means in the table. We'll start over here with minimum and maximum base value. Basically, what this means is it's just saying the range that that stat can be on that Beequip when it is unwaxed. For example, ability right here. Unwaxed, that stat could be 1% or it could be 2%. It's just chance. The maximum total value over here is the highest value that a certain stat could be with the maximum amount of upgrades. The max upgrades over here is, well, the max amount of upgrades that can be applied on each stat. For example, convert rate can be upgraded 10 times. There can be a total of 20 upgrades on a Beequip, if you put 5 caustic wax on one Beequip and they all succeed. Keep in mind, this is extremely rare, like unbelievably rare, so don't expect to ever have 20 possible upgrades on a certain Beequip. This means the total maximum value is pretty much impossible to reach, because not only do you have to roll 5 caustic waxes and every one of them succeed, you have to have every upgrade hit this certain stat, which is it's pretty much impossible. It's such a low chance that it's just impossible. I'm going to give you a quick example from the wiki. So on a 10 potential candy ring with 2 caustic waxes and 1 hard wax, which already 2 caustic waxes in a row is pretty low. The chance of this stat right here, Hive bonus 1, honey at Hive, reaching this maximum total value of 25% is 0.0000006, or 1 in 166 million. Now, moving on to the upgrade weight, which I kind of mentioned earlier, it's pretty confusing because this value right here isn't the actual percentage of getting that stat, because if energy was 100, then how would any other stat be applied? So basically what this is it's the chance for this stat to be included in the equation for picking that stat. It's sort of weird. So energy is always included in the equation. So it is always a possibility to get energy from an upgrade. Convert amount, it's 50% chance. So sometimes it could be included in the equation to get picked, or other times it couldn't. I don't really know the exact chance to get an upgrade for that stat, but this kind of covers that. It's not that specific chance, but it's pretty close. Quick editor's note here. I think that once the wax hits the stat and includes it in the equation, there's an equal chance between each stat in the equation. So if convert rate hits the 50% chance and no other stat is in the equation, then there's a 50% chance for either convert rate or energy to be upgraded. If 3 stats were included in the equation, like ability rate, honey at Hive, and energy, then it would be a 33% chance for each stat to be upgraded. So even if you get the original upgrade weight percentage to hit, it's not guaranteed that that stat will be upgraded. Now, I'm going to say this is a complete guess, and I have no idea if this is actually how it works, but it's my best assumption. Anyway, back to the video. However, if you do want to find the exact percentage it takes to get a certain upgrade, you can use this other spreadsheet. This is a Beequip upgrade chance calculator made by, I think, the same people. So all you have to do is you have to find the minimum upgrade chance and the maximum upgrade chance, which, for example, if you wanted to see, I don't know, honey at Hive, you'd put in 1 for the minimum and 10 for the maximum. And so you'd enter that value here, and then this power factor, most of the time, this is 1. However, if we come over to this and we hover over this upgrade, it does say it has a scaling power. So this scaling power is pretty confusing. If we go back to the very important notes, for number 6, it says that some upgrades do have scaling power, which is what we just saw. And this is because the more potential a Beequip has, the chance of getting that set upgraded increases, but for some reason, Onnit decided to overcomplicate the upgrade chance system. So while most upgrades use a linear function to get the chance of an upgrade per potential, some upgrades use a different function, but either way, you can check the exact chance of getting any upgrade given the potential with this calculator. So this is the calculator that we saw before right here. So you do actually need to make a copy of this so you can fill it out yourself. So make sure you do that. You just go up to file over here and you just click make copy and then just make a copy. So now that you have your copy, you can also see what they were saying earlier about the scaling factor, that this is the graph here, the chances for each potential, and right now it is a linear graph, but that will change when we change this power factor to 1.5. See that curves now and it's not linear? That's the scaling factor. So now if we change these values, so this and this, by the way, if it is a decimal, instead of using this period, I think you have to use the comma, so it'd be like this. So don't use the period or it's gonna mess up, and I don't think it will work properly. So make sure you use a comma, but it wasn't 10.5, it was just 10. And I just realized I mixed the maximum and minimum up. Oops, there we go. Okay, so now this is the chance to get each upgrade per potential. So If you had a 3-star, so a chance for 6 potential, it is a 5.1% chance to get that upgrade. If you had a 10 potential, it's a 10% chance. If you had a 0 potential or 0-star, it would be a 1% chance. So this just tells you the exact chance it would take to get that stat. And that is a kind of a hassle to fill out every time you want to know the chance, but just know that most of the time it's between these two values. You're probably not even going to worry about like energy or convert amount because you don't really care about those stats. You're really going to be focused on the hive bonuses, which usually have a range like from 1 to 10. So just know that depending on your potential, it's probably a 1 to 10% chance to get that stat. If it's on the higher end, like a 4-star or a 5-star, it's probably closer to 10. If it's like a 1-star or a 2-star or a 0-star, it's probably closer to 1. One thing I did forget to cover that's really simple is this base stat chance. So basically this is the chance that this base stat here is on the Beequip. So there's always going to be energy, always going to be convert amount, always going to be ability rate, always going to be honey at hive, and always going to be honey per goo. It just depends. So for honey per goo, it's always going to be 1%. Because it's on there 100% of the time, and the minimum and maximum base value can only be 1. So it's always going to be 1% honey per goo, unless you wax it. Then it can be waxed up to 7% chance. Sorry, not chance. 7% honey per goo. And so if we look over here, this is a little bit more complicated. This upgrade value is basically how much the stat gets upgraded per upgrade. So if convert amount were to be upgraded, it would be upgraded by 3% chance. However, if you look over here, there is upgrade value number 2. So sometimes a stat can be upgraded by 2 different values. So let's look at convert amount again. So upgrade value number 1 is 3 and upgrade value number 2 is 5. So this little dash here, the bias, we'll get into bias in a second, but if there's a dash, that just means it's a 50% chance. So 50% of the time, convert amount will be upgraded by 3% chance. The other 50% of the time, it will be upgraded by 5%. And to restate, this is not the chance of getting the upgrade. This is the percentage of the upgrade. So again, if convert amount was upgraded, so 50% of the time, let's say that it hit convert amount. Sometimes convert amount will go from 20 to 23 or 20 to 25. Let's say if it was a hard wax and convert amount got upgraded twice, so both times the hard wax upgraded convert amount, it could go up 6% chance because it hit convert amount 2 times, so 3 plus 3 is 6. It could go up 10% chance if upgrade number 2 was hit 2 times, or it could be 8. So upgrade value number 1 got hit once, upgrade value number 2 got hit twice. So basically it just depends. Now, bias gets a little bit hairy. So bias, you can see that only honey at hive has bias. Basically, what this bias does is if there are 2 upgrade values, it changes the chance of upgrade value number 1 or number 2 getting rolled. So for example, if we read here, it says upgrade value number 1's rate over 2 as potential increases. This means that at 0 potential and a 3 times bias, so if you have a 0-star Beequip and it's rolling honey at hive, and there's a 3 times bias, value number 1 is 3/4 and value number 2 is 1/4. Basically, what that's saying is that with a 3 times bias and a 0 potential Beequip or candy ring, this upgrade value number 1 has a 75% chance of getting picked over upgrade value number 2, which has a 25% chance. However, if the potential is a 5-star with a 3 times bias, it gets switched. So upgrade value number 1 has a 25% chance and an upgrade value number 2 has a 75% chance. So the more potential you have, the higher chance of upgrade value number 2 being picked, or in other words, a higher chance of getting a higher increase on that stat. The last thing that we need to cover is this column right here, which is extremely easy. Basically, all it's saying is, do you need caustic wax for this upgrade to be picked? If the box is checked, then yes. If the box isn't checked, then you don't need caustic wax. So in order to get honey from tokens, which not to mention is a 0.005% chance if it's a 0-star, and a 0.02% chance if it's a 5-star, so extremely rare, and it needs caustic. So this stat is very difficult to get. But yeah, that pretty much covers it for the hidden stat spreadsheet. Another useful resource that I like to use sometimes for Beequips is the Beeswarm Wiki for Beequips. Here it lists how many tickets it takes to upgrade your Beequip storage. It tells you the wax upgrade values. It goes into a bunch of stuff that I pretty much covered. Here was the example that I shared earlier. And down here, something that the hidden stat spreadsheet doesn't have is actually ways of obtaining each Beequip. So if we take the sweatband, for example, here it goes over potential stats. You see it kind of only goes over bare chances of the stat being rolled. So that's why I kind of like the other spreadsheet, because it dives a little bit deeper into that. Down here, it shares ways to obtain. So it can be dropped from Tacky Candy or Petal Planters. You can buy it from the Dapper Bear shop, and you can get it by completing RoboBear's Winter 2024 Beesmas Quest. So that's another useful resource that I kind of like to use. So that pretty much covers the entire Beequip stat guide. If you have any questions, comments, feel free to ask them in the comment section. And all of those resources that I showed in this video will be linked in the description. So if you want to go use them for yourself, go check that out. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.